Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. It's Lori from Lori J Journals. This is part 2 of a 3-part series where I am working with materials I was sent as part of the 3-game challenge, is I believe what it's called, in the Creative Space Junk Journal group. And if you recall, if you watched the last video, my first one was a dog items challenge. I made this little zine with dog stickers and embellishments. Today I am working on my by the sea or by the water items. So I have this piece of it's a paper embellishment, greetings from paradise, and I have these little seashells that I'm going to use to create a sea-inspired make. So here's what I brought to the table with me. I have several distress inks and dilution sprays, and these are all in, I think you can see these. These are all in shades, blues and greens, blues and aquas that remind me of the sea. So I pulled all of those down. I think that I'm going to use those today. And then, as you can see, I brought kind of piles of scraps of fabric. I cleaned out my scrap bowl last night. It was overflowing and taking over my desk. So I sorted through, which I do periodically, and I thought, what a good opportunity to use up some scraps. I'm going to use this as both a paper and fabric scrap buster. So I brought over just any little bits of fabric that I felt had the colors I was looking for in, thinking about the water, or being by the water. So you can see lots of shades of aqua, turquoise, teal, whatever you call it. I found a little bit of ribbon that might come in handy that has both this sea green, sea foam greenish kind of color and turquoise on it. And then I brought over also, if I'm going to do a scrap buster, I have plenty of paper scraps as well. I brought over a couple that remind me of kind of land and sand. So I have this burlappy kind of paper and some sand colored embossed paper here. And then I have various just scraps of paper that are colors of the sea, the ocean, that kind of feel. Oh, also a little scrap of vellum, which can always come in handy. And what I've decided I'm going to do is, I guess, a 2 to 3 part thing. So actually, all right, I thought first I'm going to do a cluster, right? I want to do a cluster, add some shells. And then I thought, how will I use this? I've got to make something papery. So I first was thinking about using it on a tag, which is kind of the easy way out. And then I thought, oh, if I'm going to make it a tag, maybe I'll use a glassine bag and I will decorate it with this and then embellish the tag and slide it in. I haven't decided yet whether I want to use this brown one, which really has a sand beachy feel, or this, white translucent kind of traditional glassine bag that gives it kind of that light, cloudy, airy feel. So I'm still kind of in that space where I'm not 100% sure which I want to do. But I will make a tag to slide into one of these bags. I'm going to do that shortly. And then I was thinking about making the cluster, and I think what I'll see is whether I want to make a true separate cluster as a coordinated set here, or whether I'll just use some of the fabric to decorate the bag. Okay, so that's where I'm going today. I have my inks. I did bring a black ink pad over in case I wanted a stamp, and I'm going to use art glitter glue today. Rather than have a whole bunch of different glues out, I can always grab my Fabri-Tac. It is handy here, but I'm probably going to use my sewing machine, which is off camera behind me, and smaller items this is really good for, so I figured I'll use it for everything. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to use these yet. I have a couple of ideas. I thought about trying to dangle some of them, but I don't know that there's a hole in any of them, so that idea might have just gone out the window. probably will need Fabri-Tac, and I will have to glue them onto something. So here we go. Come along for the ride. Hoping to do this domino style, 30 minutes or less. We'll see what happens. I think I want to first decide on a bag. So let me first see what, this is a pretty large tag. It's made out of watercolor paper. Let's just see where it fits best. So we'll slide in here pretty perfectly as long as I don't embellish it too thickly. Like if I put stuff on here that makes it 3D and textured, it may not fit inside. It does actually fit in this one too. So let's do what I always talk about Barbara at 49 Dragonflies. She calls it auditioning, and I love that term. She tries it out in any way she's considering using it. So I think I like the way this color of the bag ties into the trim around here. So I think I'm going to go with this one. Put that white one aside for another project. And what I want to do first is I don't know if it'll show, but I want to get a little bit of distress ink on here to add color. In the end, it might get covered up, and that's okay. But at least I'm trying it and giving it a chance to dry. I haven't used these in a while, so I'm just trying to shake them up to get good color. I don't want to go too dark, so I think that's pretty green. I'm going to go back to this one. And you know these are sprays. I'm not going to spray today because spraying is messy. You need kind of protection for your area, and I have a small area here. So I'm going to do a dripping technique and then add some water to it and let it kind of drip, drip, drip. All right. And this bag should dry pretty quickly. What I'm just trying to do is get some color on it. I'm going to take my plain water spray bottle here. Just get some ink on it. If you like the drips, you can leave the drips. I want to kind of use up a lot of the ink, so I'm going to blot here. I'm going to add a little bit more. And obviously, if you like it really intense, you don't even have to add water to it. I just like kind of the drip effect you get from it. I'm going to get a little bit more down lower. And again, a lot of this is going to get covered, but it'll create some nice background color. And I'm doing this on my baseboard here, but really what I should be doing is getting another piece of paper and making some more painted paper out of it rather than just letting it soak up. And I'm gonna do this on this. I have this piece of mulberry paper handy, and that will make pretty fodder paper. All right. All right, I think that looks pretty. I'm not real worried about down the center because again, that's gonna get embellished. I wanted to do that first so I could set this aside to dry. I'm gonna try not to take out my heat gun. It's down below, but if I can let this dry while I work on the other parts and pieces, I won't even need to do that. So I'm gonna set this aside on the side of my desk. I'm going to put this down again just to make sure I don't get ink anywhere I don't want it. And again, it'll make some beautiful stained mulberry paper that I can add more ink to later if I choose. So I know I'm going to set this on that bag eventually. So I'm going to set this aside and know that I've got this covered. I'm not going to worry about it too much right now. I want to focus on the tag. All right. I am going to use ink again on the tag. I'm going to start by, this is watercolor paper, which means it's going to be nice and absorbent. And I'm going to wet it down first to create, you'll see, so that the ink responds differently when the paper is wet. This time I'm going to use a little bit of dilutions. So this is not distress ink. This is liquid ink. It is, look at that. See, when you already have water on the paper, it has a different kind of effect. And of course, this is a different kind of ink. And right now I'm just playing. I don't have any specific design in mind. I'm just getting some of that. I already feel the beach coming my way. This is just beautiful color, super saturated. And, you know, you can drip this around too. You can see if you make your tag wet first, it just gives you a lot of room to play and get that blurred. And that's a really nice effect you get from a watercolor paper tag. I am going to do this. Normally, I might not do this. I might just let, and I should be wearing gloves and I'm not. Normally, I would probably just let this sit or use my heat gun and get the natural blurs that come. But because I'm on camera and I'm going to need things to kind of advance step by step, I am going to blot it. And again, I'm getting this beautiful mulberry paper, so I'm not stressed about that at all. And while that dries for a minute, and quite honestly, I'm going to give it another blot. I put a lot of liquid on there between the water I did first. There we go. And I'm doing that really just so I can work on it. It will dry pretty quickly. Watercolor dries pretty quickly. Again, look at how pretty that is. That turns into something I can use later. I can add more ink. I can further embellish, but it's a fibrous paper, so it absorbs the ink real pretty too. Okay, so if this bag, which is drying over here, is eventually going to have this, and this tag is going to go inside. So to me, this looks like Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii, but it looks like pictures I've seen or video I've seen of Hawaii. That looks like volcano like in the background, and right, like the beach. I live in Florida. Our beaches don't look like that. We don't have mountains in the background. So I want to keep some of these neutrals, like the sandy color. I brought over, I talked about this in my last video. I was going to use it on the dog project and I thought it looked beachy, so I saved it. And look, I'm already looking at how cool that would look. I'm probably not going to be able to put it on the tag because we talked about this barely slides in here. So if I start putting puffy fabrics on here, then I'm going to have trouble sliding this in here. And the whole point of making the bag and the tag was for the tag to slip inside. So I'm probably going to go with flat paper on the on the tag, and then put the fabric on the bag. All right, so I brought over some, I love this. This is just a cutaway. It has like this crackly texture of dried up paint on it. And then of course I punched out a heart there. And I feel like these colors were reminding me of like the beach and the clouds and the pretty blue sky. And I thought this might make a cool embellishment. But again, I'm thinking about sliding this tag in here. I feel like I'm actually, restricting myself because I took a tag that fit so tightly into the bag that I can't do much to it. And now I feel like my hands are tied, and maybe I should have made a smaller tag. Like one of these, and then I can put stuff on it and still slide it inside. Or look, I have a smaller version. This is way too small to put in there. And I do have, let's see, one of these. I really like how this tag is tall enough to peep out. And I think that's why I selected it. So I think we're going to go with it, and I'm going to try to work within the restrictions, right? It's a challenge. So I'm going to go with the challenge, and I'm going to remember that I can use fabric on here. So real quick, I'll talk for a minute while I'm waiting for this stuff to dry a little bit more. I told you I brought over all these kind of sea colors and things that I thought reminded me of the sea, but I always bring over, when I'm doing fabrics, neutrals as well. White pieces of just scrappy, I like puffy fabric sometimes to add texture. So what you see here is a pile of white and neutral scraps. This is great sandy kind of color. This might be a nice addition to this project. So that's what you have. You have neutrals, you have the colors that you want to work with, and then I have the paper scraps. So what am I going to do next? I think this is too wet to work with. So I've really gotten myself into a pickle here. You know what? I'm just going to grab the heat gun. I was trying not to do it because I don't want it to be loud on camera, but I do have one handy. And so I will use it quickly just to... Okay, so you will see that when you heat stuff, it starts to curl like this. If you turn it over and just work the other side, it evens out. And of course, you can always flatten it out when you're finished by putting it under a book or something. Because we're doing these videos to help out people who are new, I do want to just point out something really quick. Two things. So first of all, you notice that I got some ink on the back of this. Some people are bothered by that. I like it. I feel like it ties in the color from the other side. As long as it doesn't keep the user from being able to use the tag, I don't mind it. But some people do. And if you want it really clean, you can always just, be more careful. Really don't move the tag once you've put color on it and wait for it to dry. The other thing I want to tell you is you don't have to have a heat gun. I will show you the one I have. It was very inexpensive on Amazon. I'm very happy with it. I bought it because I do not use a hairdryer. I don't own one, and as a result, I couldn't use that as my heat tool. If you have a hairdryer and you do not want to purchase a heat gun, just use your hairdryer. No problem there. In fact, when I'm traveling and I'm in a hotel, I will use the hairdryer as a heat gun. I don't have one at home, so, all right? So don't stress about the whole heat gun thing. And again, when you're working off camera and you're just working for yourself, if you're not in a rush, just let it dry naturally. Move on to something else and then come back. That's normally what I do. So this now has a nice crinkly feel. The really dark spot is not 100% dry, but I'm not stressed out about that. I decided that I want to work on this first. I think it's just because I kind of have an idea where I'm going with it, so I feel comfortable getting started. I want to start by putting some of this on. it really does remind me of like fish netting. And I think it will be fun to stick out under here. So I'm going to use my usual method of not cutting, but dragging my scissors through and then tearing. Oop, lost my scissors. I like that because I'm going to get a random kind of shape and spread that I didn't plan. And sometimes that's the best. When we try to be too particular, part of junk journaling, I think, is it looks fun when things are kind of random. A lot of it is putting items together, repurposing items, throwing items together that weren't made to be together. And you guys, let me apologize up front for my voice. It's really bad allergy time here where I live. And if you've watched my videos before, you know I suffer from allergies, very bad allergies. And my voice is just, sounds like I just woke up. All right, so right now I'm just using the Fabri-Tac. I said I was going to use art glitter glue, and I will, but I'm just trying. When your stuff doesn't lay flat, I feel like Fabri-Tac is better. And I'm just trying to get this kind of matted down. A little bit more. Okay, so let's see if this is... Remember I said that paint wouldn't show very much, and so I didn't worry too much, but it's just enough color that it's sticking out. It's coming out nicely. I think, really quick, I don't know if I want to cut. Maybe I want to fold it back on itself. I think I'll just glue it down right here. All right, so the next thing is just to figure out whether I want to put this straight on or if I want to put something else below it. And I'm feeling like I might want something under it, like a piece of white fabric maybe. I don't know if I want white, and these aren't big enough. I brought scraps over, remember? That was my big challenge to myself. I have a piece of sari silk. I feel like that's not the right texture for this. I did have a small pile of big, oh, here it is, bigger pieces. Let's see what we got here. This is fun. It's not particularly beachy, but the colors are right, and it reminds me a little bit of Hawaii, right? Like that kind of Hawaiian print. Let's see. I wish it was a little bit wider, because what I'm looking for is something to stick out on the sides here. And this will not do it unless I go this way. Let's see. Yeah, it's too close to the same shape and size. It's not going to work. Let's see. I have this piece of fabric that I think looks just like water. It's a piece of turquoise fabric. And I could, put it not straight and get some, I don't know, I'm not loving any of it, but I'm going to try cutting this. And I dropped my good scissors. I'm not going to pick it up right now, so I'm going to use this other one. I rarely use fabric without scrapping it up first. I really like when the edges are all frayed and it looks scrappy. And this fabric isn't, I think it must be the weave. In some directions it's fraying real nicely, and others not so much, but let's see if we can get it. Sometimes it's a good thing to do while you're watching TV, or if you're on like if you're like on a phone call or something and you just have something that you want to busy your hands with. This is something that I do. I have little pieces of fabric sometimes, and I'll just pick at the edges to make them scrappy. All right, so if I went kind of like this, yeah, the only thing that's bothering me about it is how square it is. I generally don't, but let's see, maybe if I get some other, where's that piece? Here it is. If I get some other pieces in here that, yeah, no, it's too much of a strip. All right. Oh, hang on. Where is maybe some, no, I feel like these colors don't go real well. Let's see. Something like that. Yeah, I'm not liking that together. I am struggling a little bit here, but I think maybe if I put a little bit more of this again, so it's kind of layered. I have one more idea. I'm going to try to purposely, but not purposely, unsquare this piece of fabric. And sure enough, I cut an almost perfect strip off. You know, if you wanted to tear it perfectly, you probably couldn't, but and we're back to a square. I mean, it fits a little bit better than it did before, but I'm still not loving it. I'm going to see if I can. Struggle is real, folks. You know, especially when you're creating with an audience. Things can, all right. So I'm just tearing off pieces of this. I'm thinking maybe if I add some more layering in here with some of this, then I might like it better. And I think that, you know, this is just like cheesecloth or something that I got in a swap or as a wish in a group. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's good. Yeah. All right, let's. So I think I just decided what I want to do. I want to put a little stitch in here. So stay with me. I'm going off to the side for just a second. Okay, let me explain a little bit why I chose to stitch. Besides the fact that I just love the way stitches look, and here you don't even really see them very much because right now I have a very light beige thread in my sewing machine. But what I like is so I have three elements here. I have the paper, I have the cheesecloth, and I have the fabric. And by doing this, I've kind of clustered them all together in a way that I don't have to be super careful about my glue because they're all attached to each other. I've created kind of a cluster out of them. And now I can just put, easier said than done. My Fabri-Tac is running low. Now I can just put glue on the back of the whole thing and stick a little extra glue in little spots if I need it. And that's what the art glitter glue is great for, because it has that really fine point and you can get into spots. All right, so far, I think I'm pretty good with this. Yeah, it's fun. I think the cheesecloth is creating that netting feel. And it's also sand color, so it's kind of the right format. Let's see if I can, how I'm gonna get some of these shells in here. I think I'm going to affix them with some Fabri-Tac. And I'm really hoping, like with the stickers on the last one, that it's okay that I'm not going to use every single shell, because I think it will be overkill. So hopefully this will be approved by the challenge coordinator. And I'm going to, what I want to do is create interest by not gluing them all the same. So I'm going to try to glue some of them kind of turned up and some of them, because when you find shells on the beach, they're not all perfectly set. They're tossed about in all different ways. This green one's really cool. It looks like a conch, or down here we have lightning whelks. It looks kind of like that, and it's painted green. It's colored green. That's okay. It's not the natural color, but it's all right. It's for fun. So, and I think I'll do one of these, maybe. I don't know. Might be too thick. Let's see. Put this one facing the other direction with the opening facing down. And this looks like a bitty clamshell. I don't know if it actually is or if it's something else, but let's see. And this is what I was telling you that Fabri-Tac is really good for, when you have something that doesn't lay flat and you're really just trying to create a glue glob to help it stay. And I think I like that. I don't want to put one up here because I don't want to create a four corners look. But maybe one more down here. Yeah, I didn't glue one of these in this direction. I kind of like the way it looks. Hopefully I'm still in frame. Tend to migrate while I'll put this one down there. Yeah. All right. So I think the bag is pretty much done. I want to be careful with it because, I've glued these kind of heavy shells in place, and I want to give them a chance to dry. I really could, if I wanted, just not put anything on the tag and set it back in, but I feel like, okay, I have 3 shells left. Let's hope that's enough. It goes with the extra couple of dog stickers that I didn't use in yesterday's video. But I think I want something else here, and I just don't know what. Technically, I've already completed the challenge because the items were the shells and this embellishment right here, so I've used them both. What I want is a companion tag for that. So let's see. I could, again, let's see if I just don't know if I can put anything on here and still be able to get it inside. That's my biggest fear. All right, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna create a tuck on here. And I wanna round the edges. So all of the edges on this tag are round, so I want to round this as well. I don't know, hopefully, it did work. All right, I was worried that I would lose the heart, but I didn't. So if I do this, then maybe I can have a tag within a tag. But before I do that, let's see. This one goes, right? Because, and I think holding that down like that might make it so that it can slide in. So here's what I'm gonna do. First, I want to use a little bit of this fabric. I'm gonna use that for here. Okay, but I'm not going to put it on yet because I think I want to, while we wait, color this tag. And maybe, I think for this one, good, that's just water again. This one is so this is Dilutions. This is another one of my favorite ink sprays. And look at the color. It's like a metallic, it's called. I was gonna say pearlized, but I think they call them metallics. Ooh, I love the way it looks when you first put it on and it starts to spread. I think I'm gonna mix another color in. Let's see. Actually, I think I'm gonna use this one. This is the same kind of Dilutions, it's just a different color. It's more of has a greener tone to it. And the last thing I'm going to put there, it's gotten a little bit dark. I have another one of these Dilutions in. This will be really pretty. So this is another Dilutions, same thing, but it's white. And what I really want to do is spray it, but maybe I will. Sometimes I get a little create. All right, wish me luck, you guys. Hopefully I'm not going to completely trash my craft room here. And I know it's hard to see this, but I will hold it up. And the thing about this is it looks even prettier after it dries. So it's a pearlized white, and I'm actually going to, it's too wet, so I'm going to make another one by setting this on top, pulling off some of the moisture. Oh yeah, look, that's going to give me a nice one later too. So it's 2 for 1. I'm pulling off the oversaturated wetness, moisture from there, and I'm going to get the beginning of a really pretty tag there. All right, let's get the heat gun out one more time. One of the other cool things you can do with your heat tool that I didn't do is you can leave wet ink on there, and you can spread it around. You can put with the hot air, and it'll make really cool designs. I didn't do that today. So remember, let's see if I can get in the light. Remember what I said? It's prettier when it dries. It has that pearlized shimmer. So now I have that, and I have the original tag, and I want to stick this on, and then I'm going to slide this in. So, oh, look at that. I have that big splotch of ink there, and that's okay. Looks cool. And I can always wet it a little bit again if I want to drag a brush through it. I can make it less saturated if I want. Not going to worry about that too much. All right, let me think of where the right spot for it is. I think it's right there is great. And I'm going to use some of the art glitter glue. So this is a thick paper. If you've kind of been following my work for a while, you might have seen my Little Miss Messy journals, and those are made out of my underpaper from my desk. And this was the first set. It was the best underpaper ever. I put it over my craft desk like when I very first started doing mixed media, and I left it there for a really long time. I think over a year. And it had all kinds of colors and mixed paint, but the thickness of the paper was great. So they put this one layer of thick paper around a wrapping paper roll before they put the wrapping paper on. And that's where it came from. It came out of there. And when I pulled it up, I loved the way it looked so much. I couldn't bear to just throw it away. So I cut it up and I started making journals out of it. And this is really cute. Now, I think I want something in there. I can't put anything on it that's 3D because as I slide it in and out, it will pull it off. But what I have here is a silver paint pen, and what I'd like to use is my Signo pen, but it doesn't paint very well over paint on watercolor, so would have been fun with white too, but I chose silver for some reason. Oh, probably because the shimmer. I was thinking silver. And I'm going to go ahead and add my threads. Whoops. This might be a little too short. Might have gone too short with it. Let's see. Yeah, this is too short. Let me find something else. No worries there. Let's see. I have other things. Is this one longer? No, it came off the same fabric. Let's see. Oh, I brought this over. Let's use some of this. That should be a little easier, and I think I'll give them matching ones since I have enough. And boy, was I not planning to have ink stains on my hands today, but here I am. All right, cute. This project ended up being more than anyone really bargained for, probably. But if you're going to make a cute bag like that, you really have to have something to go inside. So here we are. The colors are so yummy. It makes me want to go to the beach. Slide this right in here. And it's pretty snug, but it sure does fit. So there we go. There it is. My By the Seaside. I used the shells, all but 3 of them, and I used this embellishment. I created the tag. Ooh, now I can't get it out. The tag, a double tag to go inside. And there you go. Part 2, 2 out of 3 done. Join me for the last installment of this challenge where I work with a coffee theme. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.